Imagine riding through a deadly Montana snowstorm, only to discover 2 Apache women buried beneath the snow, barely alive. Kate could have kept riding, no one would ever know. But instead, he risked his own life to save them. What happened next changed all 3 of their lives forever. A forgotten cabin became their refuge, strangers became family, and the world around them would soon turn against them. But Kate made a choice that shocked everyone. I'm not leaving. We stay together. And that decision created a family no one saw coming. Watch Love in the Wild West on the next video app as soon as possible. Please subscribe to my channel. Here is the corrected and polished English translation of the script. I have standardized the protagonist's name to *Kate, as introduced in the first sentence. To maintain consistency, remove the YouTube-style interruptions, subscribe to our channel, and smoothed out the narrative flow for better readability. Kate Thornton had never been a man of roots. At 35, he had traveled more dusty trails than most men do in a lifetime. His home was his horse, his roof was the stars, and his family was the wind that pushed him from one ranch to another, from one temporary job to the next. Some called him a drifter. He called himself free. That February day, Kate rode through the Montana mountains looking for a shortcut to the next town. He had worked 3 months at a nearby ranch, collected his pay, and was now seeking his next destination. The sky was gray, heavy, and threatening. He knew that color, a big snowstorm. He should have camped earlier, but Kate was stubborn. He thought he could cross the pass before the snow fell. He was wrong. The storm arrived like a white wall. Within minutes, he couldn't see past his horse's ears. The wind howled, sharp as ice knives. The snow fell so densely that breathing became difficult. His horse snorted nervously, losing the trail. Kate knew he was in trouble. One does not survive a storm like this in the open field. He needed shelter, urgently. He guided his horse among the trees, looking for a cave, an overhanging rock, anything. His hands were numb inside his gloves. His lips burned, every breath hurt. Then he saw it. At first, he thought they were 2 mounds of accumulated snow next to a rock formation. But something about the shape didn't fit. He dismounted, fighting against the wind, and approached. They were not snowdrifts. They were 2 women, 2 Apache women huddled together under a thin blanket, shivering violently. Their lips were blue. Their eyes, barely open, showed resignation. They were dying. Kate knelt beside them. "Hey," he shouted over the roar of the wind. "You have to move." The woman with defiant eyes looked at him with distrust. She murmured something in Apache that Kate didn't understand, but the tone was clear. "Go away. I'm not going to hurt you," Kate insisted. "But if you stay here, you'll die within an hour." The other woman, the one with softer features, coughed weakly. Her lips tried to form words, but no sound came out. Kate didn't have time to convince them. The storm was worsening. He too would die if he didn't find shelter soon. But he couldn't just leave them. He simply couldn't. Then he remembered something. Years ago, he had worked in an abandoned mine near these mountains. The miners had built a small but sturdy cabin. The mine had closed long ago, but the cabin might still be standing. It was miles away, but it was their only chance, their only hope. "Listen," Kate said, looking directly at the woman with defiant eyes. "I know a place. It's not perfect, but it has a roof. I can take you there, but you have to trust me, now." Kate saw the conflict in her eyes. Distrust versus desperation, pride versus survival. Finally, she nodded. Once, briefly. Kate wasted no time. He helped the weaker woman to her feet. She could barely stand. He lifted her onto his horse, then helped the other. She was stronger, but her legs trembled. "Can you hold on together?" Kate asked. The strong woman hugged the other from behind and nodded. Kate took the reins and began to walk, leading the horse. The snow lashed his face. He couldn't see the path. He went by memory, by instinct, by pure luck. Every step was a battle. The wind tried to knock him down. The snow piled up to his knees. The cold bit into his bones. Behind him, he heard the labored breathing of the women. He didn't know how long he walked. It could have been an hour. It could have been 3. Time became fluid and unreal. Then, through the white curtain, he saw a dark shape, a shadow, a hallucination. No, it was real. The cabin. Kate almost cried with relief. He pushed the door. The hinges squeaked, but gave way. Inside, it was dark, freezing, and smelled of dampness and abandonment, but it had 4 walls and a roof. He helped the women dismount. They could barely walk. He guided them inside and closed the door against the wind. The darkness was total. Kate fumbled until he found what he was looking for, the old fireplace. With trembling hands, he took his flint and tinder from his saddlebag. It took several attempts. His fingers were too cold, but finally he struck a spark. A small flame came to life. There was old wood stacked by the chimney, left by the last miners, dry after years. Perfect. Kate fed the fire carefully at first, then with more confidence. Light filled the cabin. Heat began to spread. Kate looked at the 2 women clearly for the first time. They were sitting against the wall, huddled, watching him with wide, frightened eyes. "You are safe," he said softly. "The fire will warm you." The woman with soft features began to cry silently. The strong woman held her closer, but her eyes never left Kate, evaluating him, measuring his danger. Kate took off his heavy leather coat. It was wet, but thick. He approached the women slowly, as if approaching frightened animals, and extended the coat. "Take this. I'll be fine near the fire." The strong woman hesitated. Then slowly she took the coat and wrapped it around both of them. Kate nodded and stepped back. He sat on the other side of the fire, giving them space, showing them he was not a threat. Outside, the storm raged. Inside, the fire crackled. 3 strangers, 3 lost souls, refugees from death in a forgotten cabin. None of them knew that this night would change their lives forever. The first rays of dawn filtered through the cracks in the cabin when Kate opened his eyes. The fire had dwindled to embers. Outside, the storm had ceased, leaving an absolute silence that only deep snow can create. He sat up slowly, careful not to startle the women. They were asleep, still huddled under his coat, breathing irregularly. The woman with soft features was coughing even in her sleep. They were not well. They needed more than fire and shelter. Kate stoked the embers and added more wood. When the fire gained strength again, he inspected the cabin in the daylight. It was worse than he remembered. The roof had holes. The windows were broken, partially covered with rotten planks. The wooden floor was damp and warped. There was an old table overturned in a corner, and the remains of what was once a bed. But it was a roof. It was shelter, and for now it was enough. He heard movement behind him. The woman with defiant eyes was awake, watching him with the same cautious intensity as the night before. Kate held her gaze, but did not approach. "Good morning," he said quietly. "How is your friend feeling?" The woman did not answer. Her face was a mask of distrust. Kate sighed. "Look, I know you have no reason to trust me, but I need to know if she is sick. She has a cough. It could be serious." The woman looked at her sleeping companion, then back at Kate. Finally, she spoke with a marked accent, but clear Spanish. "She is weak. Too much cold. Too much time. How long were you out there?" The woman lowered her gaze. 3 days. Maybe 4. I don't know. Kate felt a chill that had nothing to do with the cold. 3 or 4 days in the mountains, in midwinter, without proper shelter. It was a miracle they were still alive. They need hot food, water, blankets. Kate went to his saddlebag and took out the little. He had dried jerky, a bit of hard bread, a small bag of beans. It's not much, but it's something. The woman watched the food with barely contained hunger, but did not move to take it. "It's for you," Kate said, leaving it nearby. "I can get more. There is a town half a day's ride away. When the storm settles completely, I will go." "Why?" The question came out like an accusation. "Why help?" Kate shrugged. "Because you were dying. I don't need more reason than that. White men do not help Apaches. White men." She stopped, pressing her lips together. "I am not white men," Kate said calmly. "I am just Kate, a homeless cowboy passing through, and you are not Apache to me. You are 2 people who needed help." The woman studied him for a long time. Kate saw something change in her eyes. Not trust, not yet, but perhaps curiosity. "I am Tala," she said finally. "She is Sajaya." "Kate Thornton," he nodded respectfully. "Nice to meet you, Tala." A soft groan interrupted the moment. Sajaya was waking up. Her eyes opened with confusion, then with fear when she didn't recognize where she was. Tala quickly approached, speaking to her in Apache in a soft, soothing voice. Kate retreated toward the door, giving them privacy. He needed to check outside anyway, to see how much snow had fallen, and to verify that his horse was okay. Outside, the world was a perfect white blanket. The snow reached his knees. The trees were covered heavy with weight. The sky was clear now, bright blue and ruthless in its beauty. His horse was where he had tied it under a small rock overhang. The animal snorted when it saw him, shaking the snow from its back. Kate checked it, ensuring it had no frostbite. It was fine, strong. It had survived worse storms. "Good boy," Kate murmured, patting the horse's neck. "You saved us all last night." When he returned to the cabin, Tala had helped Sajaya sit near the fire. The younger woman looked at him with huge, frightened eyes. Tala had given her some jerky, which Sajaya chewed slowly, as if afraid it would disappear. Kate sat on the other side of the fire again, keeping his distance. "Tala, if you allow me to ask, how did you two end up in the mountains in the middle of winter?" Tala looked at Sajaya. The two women exchanged a long look. Finally, Tala spoke. "Our tribe cast us both out." "Why?" Tala clenched her jaw. Sajaya was married for 5 years. She had no children. Her husband blamed her. The tribe blamed her. They said she was useless, that she brought bad luck. Her voice trembled with contained rage. "I defended Sajaya. I said it was unfair. That maybe the problem was the husband, not her. They told me to shut up, that women do not question. But I didn't shut up, did I?" Tala raised her chin defiantly. "So they threw us both out. No food, no shelter. They told us that if the spirits wanted us to live, we would survive. If not," she shrugged, "then we would die, and the tribe would be better off without us." Kate felt a surge of anger toward people he would never meet. "That is cruel. That is our world," Tala said without emotion. Or it was. Sajaya spoke for the first time. Her voice was barely a whisper. "We thought we were going to die. We made peace with that, and then—" She looked at Kate with bright eyes. "Then you arrived." Kate didn't know what to say. Silence stretched, broken only by the crackling of the fire. Finally, Tala broke the silence. "This cabin is yours?" "No, it belongs to no one. An old mine closed years ago. The miners left. The cabin remained abandoned." "And you? Do you have a home family?" "No. I am a traveling cowboy. I work temporarily on ranches. They pay me. I leave. I have no roots." Tala frowned, processing this. "So you are also alone, homeless?" "I suppose so." Tala looked around the dilapidated cabin, then at Sajaya, then at Kate. Something like a sad smile crossed her face. 3 strangers, all with nowhere to go, all rejected, and yet— She extended her hands toward the fire. "Here we are." "Alive," Sajaya repeated softly. Kate nodded slowly. "Alive, and while winter lasts, this cabin be shelter for the 3 of us, if you want." The 2 women looked at each other. Kate saw fear in their eyes, but also something else. Hope fragile as the morning ice, but real. "For how long?" Tala asked cautiously. "Until the snow melts, until it is safe to travel." "After that?" Kate shrugged. "After that, everyone goes their own way." But even as he said the words, a part of him wondered if it would be that simple. 1 week passed, then 2. The Montana winter was in no hurry to leave. Kate had made the trip to town 3 times already, each time risking the deep snow to buy supplies. He brought flour, beans, coffee, blankets, nails, and fabric for the windows. He spent almost all the money he had saved working at the ranch, Tala noticed. "You don't have to do this," she told him one afternoon as he unloaded his latest purchase. "You've done enough. The cabin needs repairs," Kate replied simply. "We can't spend the winter with holes in the roof." "But your money?" "Money always comes back. I'll work at another ranch in spring." There is always work for a cowboy. What he didn't say was that he no longer thought about leaving in spring. Not yet. Perhaps because the cabin was feeling less like a temporary refuge and more like something else. The next 3 weeks fell into a rhythm. Kate worked on repairing the cabin during the day. Tala and Sajaya, recovering from their terrible experience, began to help. At first, it was small things. Sajaya cooked what Kate brought. Her hands were skilled with the herbs and spices he bought. A simple bean soup became something delicious under her care. Tala was more practical. She helped Kate with the repairs. She held boards while he nailed. She mixed mud to seal cracks. She was strong, stronger than Kate expected, and she did not fear hard work. In my tribe, women built the houses, she explained one day while they worked on the roof. The men hunted, we built. So I know how to do this. You're good at it, Kate admitted, impressed by how she had sealed a particularly difficult crack. Tala smiled. It was the first real smile Kate had seen from her. It transformed her face, softening the hard lines of distrust she always wore. You aren't bad either, for a cowboy, she replied with a glint of humor in her eyes. Little by little, the cabin transformed. The holes in the roof were patched. The windows were covered with waxed cloth that let in light but blocked the wind. The floor was repaired. Kate even managed to fix the old bed, replacing the rotten planks with new wood. For you two, he insisted when Tala protested. I'll sleep near the fire. I'm used to it. The nights were the best. After a day of work, the three sat around the fire. Sajaya cooked, they ate together, and they talked. At first, the conversations were cautious, superficial, but over time they deepened. Kate told them about growing up in an orphanage, about never knowing his parents, about deciding that if he had no family, then the open road would be his home. I never stayed in one place for more than a few months, he admitted. I always thought putting down roots meant being trapped. Now I'm not so sure. Sajaya shared her story about marrying young to a man who seemed kind but changed when children didn't arrive, about the years of guilt and shame, and finally accepting that perhaps she would never be a mother, and how that acceptance had somehow freed her. I am not less of a woman because I cannot have children, she said with a soft but firm voice. I am worth what I am, not what my body can or cannot do. You are right, Kate said sincerely. You are worth a lot, Sajaya. She lowered her gaze, blushing, but smiled. Tala spoke less about her past, but when she did, it was with fire in her eyes, about questioning when others obeyed, about defending the weak when others looked away, about believing that traditions must evolve, not remain stagnant. My grandmother told me I was born in the wrong time, Tala said one night, that I should have been born in the future, when women could speak freely. Maybe you were born in the right time, Kate suggested, to help create that future. Tala looked at him, surprised, then thoughtful. Maybe. As the weeks passed, something changed between them. The cabin no longer seemed like a temporary shelter shared by strangers. It felt like a home. Small, modest, but theirs. They shared tasks without discussion. Kate hunted when the weather permitted, bringing rabbits and occasionally a deer. Tala gathered edible herbs and roots she knew from her Apache upbringing. Sajaya cooked and kept the fire. Everyone cleaned, everyone repaired, everyone contributed. One afternoon, while Kate and Tala worked together, building a small shed to protect more firewood, she stopped and looked at the cabin. This is strange, she said pensively. What is? 2 months ago I was dying in the snow, rejected by my own people. Now I am building a home with a white cowboy who owes me nothing. She shook her head, amazed. Life is unpredictable. Do you regret it? Kate asked. Regret it? Tala looked him directly in the eye. Kate, you saved my life. You saved us. And not only that, you treated us with respect as equals. My own tribe never gave me that. She paused. No, I do not regret it. For the first time in years, I feel free. Kate felt something warm expand in his chest. I feel different too. I never thought staying in one place could feel this good. Their gazes met. For a moment, something passed between them. A connection neither was ready to name. Sajaya called them from the cabin. Dinner is ready. The moment passed, but it left something behind. A seed planted that night, while eating Sajaya's delicious stew, Kate looked at the two women sitting beside him. Tala laughing at something Sajaya had said. Sajaya, with cheeks rosy from the fire's heat and happiness. For the first time in his life, Kate Thornton understood what it meant to belong. The end of winter arrived with false starts. One warm day melted the snow, then a night freeze turned everything to ice again. But slowly, inexorably spring approached, and with spring would come a decision. Kate knew it. Tala knew it. Sajaya knew it. No one spoke of it. But the unasked question floated between them like smoke. What happens when the snow melts? The cabin was fully restored. Now the roof was solid, the windows sealed. They had built a small woodshed, a garden prepared for planting in spring, and even a small coop for the chickens Kate had bought in town. It was a home. A real home, but Kate was a traveling cowboy. He had no land, no right to this cabin, and the women could stay here alone, safe. One day in March, Kate announced he needed to go to town for supplies, but this time the trip was longer. He needed to see if there was work available at nearby ranches. Spring meant rodeo season. There would be work. "I'll be back in 3 days," he promised while saddling his horse. Tala nodded, her face carefully neutral. "Be careful." Sajaya gave him a package of food for the journey. "Don't forget to eat," she said softly. As he rode, Kate felt strangely empty. For the first time in 15 years of wandering, leaving a place hurt. The town was the same as always, dusty, noisy, busy with spring preparations. Kate bought the necessary supplies, then went to ask for work. The foreman of the largest ranch looked him up and down. "You're good with cattle, Thornton. I've seen you work. I can offer you the whole summer good pay. When do I start?" "In a week after the snow melts from the high pasture." Kate nodded. "I'll be there." He should have felt satisfied. Secure work, good income. It was exactly what he had always done. But as he walked back to his horse, he felt lost. That night, in the cheap rental room, he couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about the cabin, about Tala, trying to teach him Apache words, about Sajaya singing softly while cooking, about the nights by the fire, sharing stories. He had built something there, something he had never had before, a family. On the second day, while buying nails at the general store, he heard a conversation that chilled him. "2 Indian women living alone in the mountains," a man was saying. "It's not right. It's unnatural." "Have you seen them?" asked another. "My son saw them when he went hunting. He says they live in the old mine cabin alone." "No name, that's trouble waiting to happen. We should do something." Kate stepped forward. "What kind of trouble?" The men looked at him. "None of your business, cowboy. It is if you're talking about harassing 2 defenseless women." The first man straightened up. "Defenseless? They are savages. Probably stolen from some tribe. We might be doing a favor by returning them." Anger burned in Kate's veins. "They are not savages. They are people, and they are not alone. I live there too." A lie, but necessary. The men exchanged glances. "You live there with 2 Indian women?" "Yes, any problem with that?" Silence stretched. Finally, the older man spat on the ground. "Your affairs are your affairs, cowboy, but don't expect the town to approve." Kate leaned in close. "I don't need the town's approval. I just need you to leave those women alone." "Understood." The men grumbled something and walked away. Kate finished his shopping quickly and left town. He needed to return now. He rode hard, pushing his horse harder than usual. He arrived at the cabin at dusk on the second day, not the third. Tala was outside chopping wood. She dropped the axe when she saw him. "You're back early." "I needed to return." He dismounted, approaching her. "Tala, I heard something in town. Some men know you are here. They were talking about causing you trouble." Tala's face went pale. "Sajaya," she whispered. They ran into the cabin. Sajaya was inside, preparing dinner. She looked up surprised when they rushed in. "What's wrong?" Tala hugged her tightly. Then she looked at Kate. "What do we do?" Kate ran a hand through his hair. He had been thinking about this all the way back. "I told them I live here too, that you are not alone." "But you don't live here," Sajaya said, confused. "You travel. You have work waiting for you. I could stay." The words came out before Kate could think them through completely. Tala stared at him. "What? I could stay, live here, really? Not just until spring." His heart beat fast. "This cabin belongs to no one. No man's land. We could claim it, the 3 of us. Make it truly ours. But your work, there are ranches nearby. I can work during the day, come back at night, or short jobs, not full-season commitments." He looked at both women. If you want to stay together." Sajaya had tears in her eyes. "Together, the 3 of us, yes, as a family. Not traditional, but family." Tala sat down slowly. "Kate, do you know what you are saying? The town is already murmuring. If you stay here with us, there will be more problems. Judgment, criticism. Let them judge. I've spent my whole life not caring what people think. Why start now?" "But why?" Tala's voice trembled. "Why would you do this? You have freedom. You can go anywhere. Why tie yourself to this?" "To us?" Kate knelt in front of her, looking her directly in the eyes. "Because in all my life I never had a home. I was always the stranger, the one passing through. But here with you, for the first time I feel," he searched for the right words, "I feel like I belong, like I matter. Not just as hands to work, but as a person." Sijaya squeezed his hand gently. "We feel the same." Tala's eyes were bright. "My tribe cast us out because we didn't fit their rules. The world says 3 people like us cannot be a family. But maybe," her voice broke, "maybe the world is wrong." Kate took her hand. "Maybe we define what family is, in our own way." The 3 remained silent, the weight of the moment hanging in the air. Finally, Tala spoke. "If we do this, it has to be real. We can't run when it gets hard." "I won't run," Kate promised. "Neither will I," Sijaya whispered. "Then we do it." Tala squeezed Kate's hand. "The 3 of us. A family." Spring arrived fully in April. The snow melted, revealing brown earth and new green. The streams ran fast with meltwater. The world woke up, and with that awakening came the first true challenge. Kate had gotten work at a nearby ranch as promised. 3 days a week, enough to earn money, but allowing him to return to the cabin regularly. The foreman had frowned when Kate rejected full-time work, but money was money. Meanwhile, Tala and Sijaya worked in the garden. They planted vegetables, herbs, everything they could grow in the Rocky Mountain soil. It wouldn't be easy, but it was possible. For weeks, everything worked. Kate worked, the women cultivated, and at night the 3 shared food and conversation. The cabin filled with life. But the town had not forgotten. One Saturday afternoon, while the 3 worked in the garden, they heard horses approaching. 4 riders were coming up the path to the cabin. Kate recognized the man in front, the town mayor. His face was stern. "Thornton," the mayor called, "we need to talk." Kate wiped his hands and walked toward them, positioning himself between the riders and the women. "About what?" "About your situation here." The mayor looked at Tala and Sijaya with disapproval. "The townspeople are worried. A man living with 2 women, without marriage, without proper It's not decent. With respect, Mayor, my private life is not the town's business. It becomes our business when it affects the community's morals." Tala stepped forward. Kate tried to stop her, but she ignored him. "Mr. Mayor," she said with a clear, strong voice, "what exactly is indecent? 3 people working honestly, growing their own food, bothering no one." The mayor blushed. "It is irregular, contrary to customs." "And what is the punishment for that?" asked Sijaya, also stepping forward. Her voice was soft but firm. "What law are we breaking?" "There is no specific law, but—" "Then there is no problem," Kate interrupted. "This land belongs to no one. The cabin was abandoned. We have restored it, we maintain it, we work honestly, we have done nothing wrong." One of the other riders spat. "It's against nature. A man with 2 women. "I am not with them in the way you imply," Kate said with a hard voice. "We are a family, that is all." "Family." The man laughed. "That is not family. That is bastards." The mayor's voice cut through the argument. He looked at Kate for a long time. "Thornton, you are a good worker. I've heard you are honest, but this is going to cause problems for you and for them." "Then let there be problems," Kate said quietly. "We will stay anyway." Tala stepped up and stood next to Kate, shoulder to shoulder. "Our own people rejected us. They left us to die. This man saved us without asking for anything in return. He gave us dignity when everyone else took it from us." Sijaya joined on the other side of Kate. "You say we are savages, but it was my own people who judged me cruelly and unjustly. It was a stranger who showed me kindness. So who is really civilized?" Silence fell. The riders exchanged uncomfortable glances. Finally, the mayor sighed. "I cannot stop you. This land has no registered owner. But know this, you will not be welcome in town. You will face judgment, difficulties." "We have faced worse things," Tala said simply. The mayor nodded slowly. "I suppose you have." He turned his horse. "May God help you." The riders rode away, disappearing down the path. The 3 stood in silence for a moment. Then Sijaya began to laugh. A nervous, hysterical laugh of relief. "We did it," she gasped. "We really did it." Tala smiled broadly. "We sent them back empty-handed." Kate looked at both of them. These 2 brave women who had defended their right to exist, to live as they chose. His chest filled with pride. "You were incredible," he said. "We were incredible," Tala corrected. "Together." That night, as they sat around the fire as always, the atmosphere was different, lighter, freer. "You know what?" Sajaya said thoughtfully. "For the first time since I can remember, I am not afraid of tomorrow." "Why not?" Kate asked. "Because no matter what comes, I won't be facing it alone." Tala raised her coffee cup. "To family. The one we chose, not the one imposed on us." Kate and Sajaya raised theirs. To family, weeks turned into months. The garden flourished. The chickens laid eggs. The cabin became more comfortable with every small improvement. The town, as the mayor promised, did not embrace them. When Kate went to work or buy supplies, he faced cold stares and whispered comments. But he also found unexpected allies. The owner of the general store, an older widow, gave him silent discounts. "I like people who live by their own terms," she said once. A young rancher who worked with Kate told him, "My sister was kicked out of home for marrying who she loved. I respect what you are doing." Not everyone rejected them, only the loudest ones. One day in late summer, as Kate returned from work, he found something unexpected. Tala and Sajaya had built a small bench outside the cabin, overlooking the valley. "For us to sit together," Sajaya explained, "and watch the sunsets." That night, the three sat on that bench, watching the sky turn orange and purple. "Did you ever imagine this?" Tala asked. 6 months ago, when we were dying in the snow, did you imagine we would be here?" "No," Sajaya admitted. "I thought my life had ended. Instead, it was just beginning."